The two logical fallacies that I will present is ad hominem and hasty generalization. My example of ad hominem is the first US presidential debate, Trump versus Biden. In the debate, the moderator asked Trump that a week after his candidacy as president, he said that he will overturn or repeal the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, but during the 4 years of his candidacy, he did not come up with a comprehensive plan to replace it. Of course I have. I get rid of original mandate. That's a big chunk of Obama. That's actually not true, excuse me. I get rid of original mandate. That is absolutely a big thing, Trump said while he kept cutting off the moderator, not letting him finish. The moderator finished his question. Mr. President, during those 4 years, you never came up with a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare, and just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions, 5 days before this debate. So my question is, what is Trump's healthcare plan? First of all, I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me tell you something, that there's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices, I'm going with favorite nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against Big Pharma. Drug prices will be 80 or 90%. Trump said, then he pointed at Biden and continued. You could have done it during your 47 years in the government, but you didn't do it. In this situation, Trump has logical fallacy in his arguments, which is ad hominem. Ad hominem is where you refute a point and attack the person instead. Trump used ad hominem 3 times in making his arguments. First, when he repeatedly kept cutting off the moderator and uses a slightly higher tone to indicate his superiority for the idea to be nullified, and to reject the central point of what the moderator is trying to say. Secondly, is when he said that no president has ever done it. Instead of making an actual argument that what he did is the right thing, he implicated that his methods are better because no one did nothing about the care system that resides in America. And lastly, when he pointed at Biden for doing nothing in his 47 years in the government. Rather than saying the reasons why signing the executive order is the right thing to do, Trump instead emphasizes again his point by attacking the person that he did nothing unlike him just to imply that what he did is right. An example of hasty generalization is the article of Ed Rogers titled Democrats' Frightening Embrace of Socialism. In the article, the writer has a logical fallacy of hasty generalization. Hasty generalization is where you apply your conclusion to a larger population just because of many instances about that phenomenon. This article uses that type of logical fallacy because he generalizes all Republicans that they voted Trump because they just did not like Hillary Clinton as the new president. This argument is faulty because in the population of the whole Republicans, how much does the whole population think like this? This is also applied when he generalizes about the Democrats.
The bandwagon or ad populum fallacy shows that in this example, O'Reilly uses the power of their channel that has high ratings. He used that belief that everything he's saying is right. So bandwagon fallacy or ad populum fallacy happens when a person indicates that he or she is right, but even though they're not right, they tell themselves and the one they're having argument with that they are right, since more people believes in them, more people uh, recognizes them, more people knows them. Red herring fallacy indicates in this example that once a person is in a argument, he or she changes the topic and switches the topic by talking about another argument and passing the topic and the speculations and the view of the people to the other party, which also committed another mistake. Red herring happens when people switches the topic or the argument to another person.
Argument for ignorance, also known as appeal for ignorance, is a fallacy in formal logic. It asserts that a proposition is true because it's not yet been proven false, or a proposition is false because it's not yet proven true. For example, cut mo na lang yun. Mag-isip lang ako isa. False dilemma is a type of informal fallacy, more especially one of the correlative-based fallacies, in which a statement is falsely claimed an either-or situation, when in fact there is at least one additional logical valid opinion, where, for example, when you cough, yet people sees you as a carrier of COVID-19, where it can be just irritation to your throat, that's why you cough.
For the appeal to emotion is a fallacy in which, if there is an argument, the other side or the opposing side uses something that appeals to the emotions of those who are listening. So it may be a statement that lacks factual argument and only contains the emotions of the one speaking. So the example we use this is when Bato de la Rosa cried during the EJK senatorial conference with Risa Ontiveros, which shows that he did not use any factual evidence to support himself or to contradict the statement made by Ms. Risa Ontiveros, but what he used was that he cried, he showed his emotions, and just said that his job is very hard to do and it lacks any factual evidence that may support his argument or his standpoint. For the slippery slope, it means that one action, for example, not studying, will lead to a very disastrous situation, or it will go from this action to this action immediately. So, for example, is that when you do not study, is that you die or you go homeless. So for this, we used the Dengvaksha, in which the parents didn't want their children to be vaccinated because apparently when you get vaccinated with Dengvaksha, you turn into a dead person. So they didn't want their children to be vaccinated by the vaccine. So this issue was actually highly politicized. So it turns out that it isn't necessarily true, and even though it isn't necessarily true, it actually caused major repercussions to those who are affected by this issue.
Reasoning, or also known as circular logic, is a type of fallacy where the reasoner begins what they are trying to end with. If A is B, then B is A. For example, he is rich because he has money. But why is he rich? Then the reasoner would answer, because he has money. So they are starting what they are trying to end with. It is just a cycle, and it's no longer logical. Fallacy, Latin for you also, or also known as the appeal to hypocrisy, is a fallacy that intends to discredit the opponent's argument by attacking the opponent's own personal behavior as being inconsistent with the argument's conclusion. For example, why would you tell me to do this if you also did that before? Now, the opponent is attacking the behavior even though the topic is about something else. And by doing that, the attention is now being drifted into the opponent, and you're now far away from the topic, and you are now just focused into the behavior about him or her doing something bad.